Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of Munster Hunters, the only show that dares to shun the millions of hours of new original streaming content to revisit this goddamn old show about a Frankenstein monster and his grotesque family. I'm Derek. I am a Munster Hunter, normally sitting next to me, but now joining via satellite phone is Keith.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
okay,
we did all this in pre-show. We can hear you.
All right, excellent. Calling in. I'm Keith. I'm a Munster Hunter, and I will reveal my location later on the show.
Oh, he's on exciting. Set at the Munsters.
I'm on location
at the Munsters movie. I believe they're shooting in Bangladesh.
What? Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's the only way they could circumvent the Munster laws here in the United States. And that other voice, of course, is the Dr. Dre of Kansas, Terry.
That's right. Hello. I'm where I'm always am, just sitting here at the control panel, shutting all
twos.
Yes, putting in all my DVD discs, my analog tapes, all that stuff, and burning any sign of internet streaming or anything like that.
Yeah.
Besides Zoom, of course, because that's recording.
It's not a streaming service, though.
Right.
But maybe it will one day. I'm sure Zoom will have original programming eventually.
Oh, yeah. And when they do, we'll be ready.
Ready to shun it.
Shun it. And today, we wanted to shun it for Season 1, Episode 11, The Midnight Ride of Herman Munster, which is today's topic of choice. But before we get there, gentlemen...
Of choice? I don't think it was a choice.
Well, whoever the ad wizards are that came up with numbers and sequential stuff, that's who made our choice for us.
Gotcha.
We did episode 10 last time, and now we do 11.
Yeah. Okay, but I am doing good by choice. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
That's an interesting way to put it. You choose. You can either have a bad day or a good day. And Keith chooses a good day. So
that's a very positive way to look at it.
The satellite phone earlier was having me think we were having a bad day, but now we're up and running. So
yeah, you had to turn that crank. It's like a field phone from World War II.
with the what are those parts?
War surplus.
Yes.
I was watching an episode of Bugs Bunny with the kids the other day because my daughter, my youngest, gets really jazzed about old cartoons. And we'll watch Tom and Jerry, and we were watching Bugs Bunny. And Bugs Bunny was Yosemite Sam came down from outer space for some reason in a spaceship.
Oh, that's
and Bugs Bunny built a robot out of war surplus parts. He even said it. I knew these war surplus parts would come in handy
to fight a space man.
Yeah,
Yosemite Sam.
He built an autonomous robot bunny.
Wow.
He didn't use Kansas succotash and green beans. And
well, it was about of that quality, but it exploded at the end.
That's a shame.
Well, it was exploded on purpose once it got on this Yosemite Sam's spaceship because he was from Mars for some reason. But still sounded like Yosemite Sam.
Don't they have a Mars character that lives on Mars?
Oh, that was like his boss because he called back. It's like Captain blah blah. It's like you don't get it, and then it's it's doing this Yosemite Sam stuff. And he still had 6-shooters and stuff.
Interesting. That's why make a new character when you can just use any old character you already have?
I mean, it's cartoons. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. And I guess it's time to batten down the hatches. What's some other library terms?
Wait, what?
Is batten down the hatches of the library time?
Batten down the hatches.
Unroll
head
the
to
dusty
stacks,
tomes.
Swab the deck because it's
head
time
to
for
the stacks. Yeah.
Well, we're swabbing the deck, and then we're going to read from the good book known as the Munster Hunters Almanac, all the way from across the globe.
In international waters, probably.
Yeah.
Oh no! I am I'm in Budapest, Hungary. I am not on the Munster set. I am.
They're in Budapest.
I've had some issues with security and craft services, and so now I'm at a hotel down the road, but I can still see things going on over there. Anyway, I did bring the almanac along with me.
Good.
And so what I want to do here is over the next few episodes, I spread it out over the next few episodes. I want to talk about where the Munsters live, and that is 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Everyone knows that Rob Zombie recreated a whole version of it over there in Hungary for the filming of this. And I wanted to bring up some notes, and we're going to break it down to a couple different parts over the next few episodes.
Outstanding.
So originally, it was built in 1946 over on Stage 12 at Universal Studios for their production of a movie called So Goes My Love. It was based on a true story and a book called The Genius in the Family. It's a memoir of Hiram Percy Maxim. It focused on his relationship between him and his father, Sir Hiram Stevens Maxim. And I guess,
sure.
You know who those people are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hiram, I guess he was a radio pioneer. He was a radio pioneer and inventor. He was credited with inventing the first commercially successful firearm silencer. And also played a big role in shortwave radio, I do believe, or maybe it's longwave radio, one of the two. He set up the American Radio League. Derek, do you know other things about him?
The American Radio League? Well, yeah, there were
ARL?
7 original members, and they fought the Legion of Doom. If I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. I remember learning about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after they wrapped up production of So Goes My Love, the house was put into storage. So I guess they just took it back apart. They put it in the storage. It reminds me of this house my parents moved into when I was in high school. The company we bought it from, they put it down and like they rolled up with like sections of the house. And so like when they like actually set the bathroom down, my bathroom down on like the upper level, like you could walk in and it was already wallpapered and everything. Like they just had to connect stuff to it. And that's what I'm picturing here is they just kind of like broke this house down in small little bits and pieces. Yeah, early 50s, in the early 50s, Universal then decided to build a new exterior residential street on its front lot. These sets were then taken out of storage and reassembled where they became part of River Road, one of the number of residential streets constructed in the area. The house was then seen in a number of Universal productions throughout the 50s and beyond. So after So Goes My Love, it then shows back up again in Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man.
Makes sense.
Cool.
It's a physician's home. I'm going to jump past a few. There's another one called Monster on Campus in 1958. Obviously, it shows up in Leave It to Beaver.
Obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the series exteriors were filmed on River Road.
Like Leave It to Beaver verse.
Yeah. Well, no, because these guys helped write Leave It to Beaver as well, so it makes sense.
The extended Beaver verse.
We're good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zack Snyder's Beaver verse.
Nice Beaver verse.
So then, like, it was also on Alfred Hitchcock Presents in an episode.
That makes
There's another
sense.
show called Thriller, which seems like it's very similar, but it had Bela Lugosi voicing parts in it.
Sure.
And then he was part of Kraft Suspense Theater. So I guess it's done a lot of like horror film type things. So I guess it made sense that in the 60s it shows up for a few years with the Munsters.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, though, it was in The Ghost of Mr. Chicken in 1966 with Don Knotts. It was in the TV show Dragnet. It was also in the movie Dragnet is Dan Aykroyd's mother's house in that one. It is in the backdrop of some episodes of The Incredible Hulk from 1978 to 1982. It is Ricky Butler's house in The Burbs.
Wow.
It is in the backdrop of the ending of the opening credits of every single episode of Get a Life. That's the it was a Chris Elliott show. Chris Elliott show there. As in Murder She Wrote. Mm-hmm. And a hand model too, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Murder She Wrote, Quantum Leap, Everyone Loves Raymond has it in there, and most recently it was in Desperate Housewives.
Most recently, so it's been a while.
Yeah. It's 2012. That's like the last main thing it was known for. But those are the things. Some of them post Munstery, but things outside of just being the Munsters that 1313 Mockingbird Lane house was used for.
I had no idea you could like collapse it and rebuild it like that. Yeah, I figured once they were done with it, they would just like burn it to the ground.
That's awesome. Love that idea.
I mean, it looked highly flammable. They could have easily done that.
No, there's so much asbestos in that thing; it could never burn.
They tried. That's why they just decided to tear it apart brick by brick.
We can't bring it. Look, we tried burning it. Just box it up already, okay?
We can't destroy this thing. We might as well reuse it. I'm sure there'll be a show in the early 2000s called The Desperate Housewives. They can use it.
Yeah. Speaking of things we can't destroy and reuse, that's the Munster Hunter Almanac Factor of the Week.
Oh, boy.
Never to be destroyed.
Closing the book right there.
Stab it with a basilisk fang and it would still not be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could shoot it into the sun and it would actually outlive the sun and come back like millions of years later, becoming its own star.
Only stronger.
Yeah. Granting life to a new world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's used. Oh boy, you launch it into like a barren planet and it's used to like terraform it.
There's just a bunch of like little like Hermans running around and a bunch of lilies. Yeah.
You send it to terraform it. Does it terraform it as the Munster house? So like with all like it's always windy and rainy. There's stuff everywhere, like all the time, as opposed to like the Leave It to Beaver version, where it's probably very nice.
If you were to launch it at Mars right now, it would hit, and then it would like emit a bunch of oxygen, create an atmosphere, and then it would turn the planet of Mars into a giant Munster house.
Oh my God, Munster Planet! That would be amazing. That should be a sequel to the Munsters. You know, all these horror movies that go to space. I want to see a Munsters movie where it's a space.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, the Munsters go to space. That's got to be
like an astronaut goes up in outer space and he's got a pouch, and in that pouch are Herman's neck bolts. And he gets on the planet and he plants them, and then from there, like Munsters grow.
Yeah,
that'd
like
awesome.
a seed, the seed of life. Yeah.
He has to fertilize them with his own poop, though.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do on Mars.
It's like growing potatoes. Yeah, And another thing that you do with potatoes is you can chuck them out into the ocean and then watch them sink get eaten by a fish. And then if they do, you dive, put on that scuba gear and dive into the water and chase them potatoes. Here's Captain Terry with another deep dive into hell.
That's right.
You got to catch those potatoes before they get to hell. That's the whole.
Well, yeah.
If Satan gets a potato, he's unstoppable.
Well, we want to get it just in time so it's like just evenly cooked. If it gets too deep, then it's going to.
There's nothing worse than a baked potato where the very middle of it's crunchy.
Yum. So.
Oh God, that's nasty.
So we'll start diving. The Midnight Ride of Herman Munster was directed by Ezra Stone. He's got 35 directing credits on IMDb, going from 1949 to 2006. We're going to be seeing his name quite a bit. It seems like he's directed 27 episodes of the Munsters, so I think this was his first, so look forward to that. We'll be seeing more of him. Of all the shows, though, he was credited on, this one looked to be like the most prominent, the one he did the most for. He did some Lassie, Lost in Space, there's some stuff like that. He was also an actor, and we might actually, if we ever watch the Munsters movie, he's actually in that, so.
If. More like when.
Yeah, when we get there, we'll see him. So that's fun. This episode was written by Joe Conley and Bob Mosher. We've heard about these guys like a million times.
Very familiar names.
So those are two names that I'm just going to let sink past. We don't really need to hear too much about them. We might just need a snorkel. So that they've written about.
That's one of our markers of going down and how deep we go. Those two guys. Yep.
There's Joe. There's Bob floating by. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They've written about 20 episodes. Yeah. We've covered a few of their the ones they've written already. They also created Leave It to Beaver. So that's pretty exciting. The Beaververse lives.
Yeah, the Beaververse, and because it has this house, boy, there's just so much going on.
There's a few guest stars in this, so it's the classic situation. My website I checked listed some. The DVD that sometimes decides to tell me who the guest stars are didn't have anybody, so I was just kind of playing it by ear. So yeah, we'll just follow our own path here. First, we have Maxie Rosenblum as Big Louie. He's got 79 credits on IMDb, going from 1933 to 1969. He was a professional boxer. He did 289 fights, apparently, which is quite a bit. They called him Slapsy Maxie.
That's what I called him the first time I saw him. And I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah, well, he's known for slapping his opponents with his open glove. So,
nice. I thought because he took too many shots to the head, he's just like a little slap happy at this point. Yeah.
Well, he was also known for being a womanizer and gambling.
No.
So he's known for a lot of things.
Maxie.
Seemed like a great guy. Yeah, he was quite the star of the nightlife, it seems. But he did later transition to acting. He played pretty much just tough guy, thug roles, His mini bio says that on IMDb said he had over 100 films that he was in, but IMDb only had 79 credits total, including TV, so it's a little suspicious. Maybe there's some like lost maxi tapes out there that...
Yeah, he probably had them burned.
Yeah.
Like, he got a little too slapsy on this set.
Yeah, no one can ever see this, yeah. So maybe someday we'll find these. They'll be uncovered deep within the trenches, but who knows. Next, we've got Val Avery as Marty. He's got 172 acting credits that go from 1952 to 2004. He was mostly, really small roles in TV, and we'll see him actually later as a different character in the Munsters, so he'll be back. He was in a couple of big movies, though, which is cool. He was in the 1979 Amityville Horror and the original Magnificent Seven. Ooh. So that's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. He was also in a movie called Satan's Bed. Not to be confused with Satan's Bug, which we talked about a while ago.
That.
Yeah, which you were disappointed wasn't about a real bug. No.
Yes, exactly. And I'm going to say I'm also disappointed with this. It didn't seem like the bed was Satan or anything like that, but it stars Yoko Ono in it.
What? There's the Satan part for you.
It's about like a Japanese woman who gets wrapped up in gangs and drug dealers, I guess. I watched the trailer, and this is like super grimy, like exploitation-y movie. I think you can kind of guess basically what happens. The gang of thugs roams the streets and preys upon women. Didn't look the greatest movie ever. But no. I think Val Avery had a pretty big role in it, so congrats to him. But yeah, I thought the name was funny. But the movie, the trailer, I was like, I don't know about this. This seems kind of bad. Then we also have Lenny Weinrib as Freddy. He's got 152 acting credits, going from 1959 to 1992. He did a decent amount of live action, and he did some voice acting for animation. The Munsters wasn't the only Frankenstein show that he was in. He voiced the character in a show called Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles, which is Hanna-Barbera. Have you guys heard of that?
I have, yes.
You have? Okay.
I don't remember much about it, but I have, yes.
Yeah, I guess it was about like a boy genius, and he like created a robot and named it Frankenstein Jr., like as you do.
I would, yeah, if I did.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And then there's like some undercover agents who disguise themselves as a rock band and tour, I guess. So that's the other classic
that
gimmick.
Hanna-Barbera really did that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I know like 3 shows, like at least that. Yeah, it's like a band that goes around and solves mysteries or something.
Every Hanna-Barbera cartoon involves somebody solving mysteries. Mm-hmm. And there's a 50-50 chance that they're a band.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if
Sometimes-
they're not a band by default, they'll at least have an episode where they are a band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
because that's how they're going to catch the bad guys.
Yes.
Mhm.
They're stepping in to be the band.
And they'll sing their own original song.
There's one like speaking animal in it that like
Always.
helps solve the
Yep.
mysteries. Maybe it plays the
Jabberjaw.
drums. Yeah, exactly.
It's a shark.
Yeah, I do believe he talked and played the drums. I do believe.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a brown dog. Sometimes it's a gray dog. Sometimes it's a shark. Sometimes it's a different brown dog.
Mhm.
It's always.
Sometimes it's a robot Frankenstein. Yeah.
Sometimes it's a robot Frankenstein. Sometimes it's a robot dog.
Yeah, so he's been in actually a ton of stuff that I recognized. He must have done like a pretty good Dracula impression because he voiced a couple of characters. There's one that's called Count Bragula from the Super Globetrotters. And there's also one called Pacula from the Pac-Man TV show.
Nice.
So some
Nice.
more spooky themed characters he's done. And the more I scrolled, the more I just was like, wow, he's actually done so much. The last thing I'll mention is that he voiced Scrappy Doo quite a bit, and like all the Scooby Doo and Scrappy shows. So
Well, he just lost my respect.
Scrappy Doo wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
and the last guy I'll touch on is Lee Krieger as Al. He's got 34 acting credits to his name, going from 1953 to 1968. He's got some smaller roles in TV and movies. The biggest thing I recognized him was he showed up repeatedly in My Favorite Martian as like a policeman. He was like a radar man at some point. Couldn't tell if they were like the same person each time, all these police people, or if it's just, that's just his thing. He just played police. I did find something that was kind of weird, though, when I was kind of looking through his limited like listings on IMDb. He has one soundtrack credit for a movie called Celeste and Jesse Forever, which actually came out in 2002. Or no, 2012, sorry. And as Keith probably knows from his Deep Black book, it's pretty strange because Lee Kruger died in 1967.
Yeah. Keith knows all the deaths.
I was trying to avoid it this time, but there you go. You got me.
I thought that maybe he like wrote a song way back in the day and maybe they just happened to use it. So I started Googling it. I could not find it for a while. And the song is called Do It on My Face. And it's about what you think it is, pretty much. I finally found it. It was performed by Emma Roberts. And I think it's supposed to be like a comedy song. It's pretty bad, but I think it's supposed to be like purposefully like a horrible pop song. But I figured it out. I figured out why he was credited for this. The director of Celeste and Jesse Forever actually helped write the song, and his name is also Lee Krieger. But he's credited on IMDb as Lee Toland Krieger. So there you are.
Wild.
I caught you, IMDb. You've been exposed. Yeah,
So
your horrible
They both
mistake.
had the same name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Weird.
But
And it's
IMDb's
not
got
even
him
like a
listed.
common name. It's not like it's like Jeff Smith or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So IMDb, they messed up big. So yeah, that's right. We got you. What do you guys say about that, IMDb?
Let's what's it called when you submerge is going underneath? Let's
Unmerge.
Unmerge. Yes.
Upmerge.
unmerge from the depths. It doesn't sound right to me. Well, let's do it. Get them Munster bins because we got stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they hurt. Ow.
Yes, they do.
Got to go slow.
Is
Oh,
in
no.
pain from across the globe from the Munster bins. And it's a good thing because, man, season 1, episode 11, The Midnight Ride of Herman Munster is an episode. I'm taking the IMDb breakdown. I broke it. It was like 4 sentences long. I made it one concise sentence. Herman's car is stolen with him inside and is to be used as a getaway car on a bank job.
Yep. That's really all you need.
That's
Yeah.
it right there. This one gets a hefty 7.5 on IMDb from a handful of people that have been gracious enough to rate this one. What kills me is a 7.5 means for every person that thought it was like a 2 or 3, like I would have thought, maybe even a 5. There's other people that thought it was like a 10 or a 15.
Yeah.
They like hacked IMDb to give it a higher score.
Do we need to log in to IMDb under Munster Hunters and start leaving our own reviews?
Start leaving them scores? Oh,
Yeah.
we
We'll
can.
I think we need to start adding trivia on each episode saying this episode was covered by the Munster Hunters.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know that none of the Munster Hunters liked this episode?
Yeah.
Again.
Yes. Now, I mean, okay, before we can get in, this episode is okay. It's not good, but it's not terrible. That's just
It's
my
decent. Yeah. It's not like the worst. It's not as bad as it has been sometimes.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna leave a lot of those same questions that we always have. Like, there's something that could have really gone different here that I think would have stood out a little bit more, or like that. Those little side. I guess there's not really one of those side quest ones that we're always like, "Ooh, here's gonna be like the cool B plot," and then we get nothing. I don't think there's as much of that this time, but I do have a couple questions in general that why they didn't go with something else, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. This one is peculiar, but
yeah.
it opens up and Herman and Lily are returning from a drive-in movie, and Herman's tired as fuck, man. He's yawning.
Oh, yeah.
He yawns a lot.
So much. He's exhausted.
He's ready to go to bed, and they talk about going to the drive-in, and Herman scaring people away.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty regular.
Why? Why would that happen?
Yeah, because it's Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
People are hightailing out there, but he's super tired. He's constantly yawning, but it's only 2 a.m., guys.
Oh God. Yes, this brought up a lot of questions already.
I hate this thing where they're like, we stay up at night, but we live a normal life during the day.
But it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, because we've already established he goes to work during the day.
He goes to work. Eddie goes to school. There's
and
all
we
these
do
things.
see them. We see them in bed going to sleep at night.
Yes.
So how long are they asleep?
Hmm?
When do they actually? There's that one where Herman was sneaking through to get a salami out of the refrigerator
In the middle of the night. Yeah.
Yes, but is that like 5 in the morning? Like sun's just about to come up and he's sneaking through. That's almost what it sounds like.
I can't tell anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they're back. They went to a drive-in. It's 2 a.m. Very late drive-in.
Mm-hmm.
But Lily, she forgot her mink in the car, so she sends Herman out to get it. And Herman's
doesn't
like,
want to, but
I'll go get it. I'm going right to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes out there, opens the car, lays down, goes to sleep, as one would do. He's got a simple task, and he has to go out to this car that's in front of the house, and it's a car we've never seen before.
Oh,
Is that not the one? Is that not the one that she gets driven up to the lot when they're gonna build the Munster coach thing? Is that not the one she drives up in?
I don't know. I don't remember. But it's not her. Well, it's not the usual car.
No.
And there's things that get said in this episode that make you think that they don't even know where that car came from.
Yeah.
Like they just had it one day. They went to a drive-in. Maybe they rented it to go to the drive-in. Who knows? Anyway, Herman goes out, lays down, gets the mink. It's so soft and cozy. He just falls asleep right there.
Oh, yeah.
No big deal.
Doesn't even try to accomplish his task. He literally just climbs in the car, sees the comfy little, whatever fur mink thing, and he just like,
Have you ever had wolf dyed mink? Come on, Derek. That's so comfy.
I have not. I know I'm not as classy as Herman is. But the thing that kills me is he is so tired that he can't just open up a car door, grab the coat, and return the 20 feet to the house. He gets into the car and falls asleep. Anyway, he falls asleep. No big deal, right?
Also, don't they have a garage? Like, where's the Munster coach? Is parked someplace?
I don't know. This car's just out front. And it's no big deal because he'll just get up in the morning and come back in the house, right? Except for there's two guys walking down the street who need to steal a car. Mm-hmm. And they see this one and they're like, oh, look, the keys are inside. They notice the keys, but not the 7-foot monster in the back seat.
That's a giant, 300-pound man. Yeah.
They don't notice that. They notice the car. They need it for the bank job. And then banger. Still good. Nothing new. Come back. Lily is concerned because Herman isn't back yet. It's been 20 minutes. She tells Grandpa, she gets him out of the basement. He's been working in the lab. Grandpa's like, don't worry, I fly it all the time or whatever. And Lily thinks that maybe Herman got some ideas from the movie that they watched, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, now I looked it up.
I knew
I
you
was
did.
like, because first of all, I thought they would have referenced what movie they saw when they said they went to the drive-in. They didn't. So then they mentioned
Who were the actresses?
the actress is Tuesday Weld.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap! Who was the? Sorry, I had it written down here, and I can't read it. But it's this David Niles or something like that, I think. But so I went in and looked up these two different people. I can't find a movie that they're in together.
Oh, well.
Huh. Well,
It's just a joke.
Well, no. Usually when they make those references, though, this is something that they actually pick something that's really there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really kind of surprised that I couldn't find.
Well, the real actors, just not real movie.
Yeah. David Niven is the actor's name. He was actually James Bond in Casino Royale.
Oh, interesting.
Which is is like the one that they made that it wasn't part of the normal.
It was an American
Bond.
movie.
Yeah, and so he was in that. But yeah, I went through and I was like, okay, so what two things are they in? And I could not find anything that the actor and actress had been in together. But I did also look up Tuesday Weld, very attractive young lady, as the Crow also likes to let us know.
Yeah, because
Lily's
like, well, maybe he got ideas from Tuesday Weld. The guy stepping out on his wife to go meet Tuesday Weld in this movie, which seems ridiculous. And then Lily's like, oh, whatever. And then the Raven mocks Lily, right? Like, why would a man leave his loving home? And the Raven says,
Tuesday Weld. Tuesday Weld.
Now I noticed. I don't know if she'd worn it before, but Lily has this like kick-ass bat pendant on. Has she always worn that?
Yeah, no, I noticed that the first time.
It really caught my eye, and I was like, "This looks new."
Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Yeah. Hopefully they keep it around. That's add some more to Lily's character, some new jewelry, change it up a bit.
It's just a really cool bat pendant. Lily looked a little bit different in this episode. I don't know.
I thought so. Yeah,
maybe it's the bat pendant. Maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows?
It could be that. Yeah. Think of that.
So then we see the two gangsters sitting really close to one another in the front of Herman's car, and they're driving.
Yeah, that car's got to be super wide if Herman's driving and Lily's sitting next to him. Unless maybe they both sit in the back seat because the mink was in the back seat, and maybe that invisible man dude drives them around place.
Maybe. All I know is these two gangsters, like the one dude they were like rubbing elbows. They were so close. I'm like, man, there's a lot of front seat up there to take up, but they're right there.
Yeah.
And then they do this, like, who's on first, what's on second thing about snoring. Like,
that's exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah. You're not snoring. Well, I know I'm snoring because I'm not talking, blah, blah, blah. But Herman is snoring in the backseat.
Yep. Very loudly. Yeah. The guy who's getting blamed for snoring never mentions that he also heard the snoring and they should investigate.
He was asleep. He didn't hear it.
And they have no spatial perception to understand that the snoring is coming from behind them. Clearly, the acoustics in that car are like ridiculous because the snoring bounces off the windows, makes it sound like it's coming from the guy next to him. Whatever.
I guess it'd be really loud too with the lung power that we see Herman have in this, where he's like sucking up cobwebs with his yawns. Like this it's got to be pretty loud.
This dude's yawning, sucking up cobwebs. He's like a vacuum cleaner. Yeah. This guy's snoring in the back seat, and no one realizes that there's somebody behind them snoring. And he would literally be like 2 feet behind them. All he had to do is like turn their head slightly to the left, and they would have seen him. But they didn't. That's okay, because if they did see him, then none of the rest of this episode would have worked.
That's true. Yeah.
So there you go.
When you put it like that, it makes a lot of sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we come back to Munster Town, and Lily and Marilyn or not Herman, Grandpa are there, and Marilyn's like, "What do you mean he left?" Right? Like you have to rehash this moment. Like everybody understands. We know. Just assume that this conversation took place, and then Eddie comes in, thinking that what's all the commotion? Did Grandpa blow himself up again?
No time for fun and games right now, Eddie.
No time for fun and games. Lily's like, go back to bed. Can I leave the lid open? No. Can I leave the top of the lid open?
Okay,
no.
He's a werewolf child.
It sleeps in a coffin. Yes.
Yes, that seems so weird.
And it's a split coffin for like viewings. But it made me think of Sven Gulli. Remember Sven Gulli?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He would always stand in that coffin, and the top would be up, throwing rubber chickens and whatnot.
Yeah, just glad Eddie showed up for a second, just to disappear for pretty much the rest of the episode.
Well,
like usual.
So there's this big thing here. Go back to bed. You don't need to concern yourself. This grown people are talking. Marilyn's like, I'll take you back to bed. And Lily's like, well, I better call the cops. And the cops are like, well, what's it look like? Missing person. Describe him. 7 feet, 380 pounds.
Yep.
Cop eyes get wide. What's his
I thought they were
age?
going to recognize it. I thought they were going to be like, oh my God, it's that guy again. The monster of the park or whatever.
Yes, it's the
She didn't say red eyes. Otherwise, so they would have.
Same guy.
They would have given away.
Yep. But now here's an interesting wrinkle. They ask his age, and Lily's like, Grandpa, how old is Herman? And Grandpa says, I started working on him around 1812.
Yep.
Right? So this confirms that Grandpa built Herman.
Yes. This is great news. This is very interesting lore.
A few episodes prior, didn't Herman say he was a college man because he was on campus and in various jars, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Herman's backstory is a little
maybe they took him apart at some point like they did with the Munster house. Maybe.
No, once he got to college age.
Well, Grandpa said he started in 1812 and then there was like a part shortage or something. I don't remember. Yeah. And finished him around 1850.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which would put him well over 100 years old. And so Lily's like, well, he's middle-aged.
Okay.
And then the cop says, eyes?
Okay.
Two. That's all we could fit.
Because I would love to see Herman with 10 eyes.
Like a spider. He's just got eyes all over that big flat head of his.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Or if he had one giant eye on the top of his flat head. That would be great.
You'd see above him directly at all times. He might. We have never seen the top of his head.
No, he looks down and there's just a big eye blinking at you. I would love that.
I like Lily makes that comment, and I want the cop on the other end just sarcastically. Oh, why? Because he's a Frankenstein's monster, joking around, moving on. She's yeah.
What you talk about, lady? Is this man a Frankenstein's monster? Of course, he's got two eyes.
And now didn't she say he had a blue eye and a green eye?
A brown and a chartreuse eye.
That's right. So
to match his complexion.
Yeah. Did he get an eye replacement since the last time we heard about this guy?
They were previously red. I don't even know what color chartreuse really is.
I mean, look, it went from 1812 to 1850 to finish them. Maybe they lost an eyeball along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, chartreuse is kind of a sickly
green.
It's
like a pale lime, pale lime green.
Mm-hmm.
I know because there's a restaurant called Chartreuse Caboose near me. So,
the green
Chartreuse Caboose.
Yeah,
the green butt. Come on in.
Yeah, pretty good, honestly. But
so brown. He's got a brown eye and a green eye, and to me, that's not weird, right? People have two colored eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Professor X from that one X-Men movie where he's trying to pick up chicks with
Mystique.
It's it's groovy, what they call somebody with two colored eyes, homeochrome, whatever, right?
Oh, that's right.
It's actually a mutation. It's quite interesting.
It's a mutation.
Yes.
So Herman's a mutant.
You're a bit of a mutant yourself, aren't you? That's my Professor X impersonation.
Can't wait for Herman to get recruited into the X-Men. He's probably the founding
God,
members.
I went there for that. So anyway, So the cops like keeps on going. He needs this full description. Any scars? And she goes, no. But he does have a beauty mark on his forehead. It's like 25 inches long or something. It's some hideous scar.
Yes.
But she calls it a beauty mark, which was pretty funny.
That's nice.
He's Harry Potter.
Yeah, shape of a
Oh,
lightning bolt, right? She says that. Now this is why Keith brought this up in the almanac, but they make a very specific point because Grandpa says, "Tell him where we live." It's almost like they thought of this address prior to writing this episode.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, we got to work in this cool address. What if it's 213s and it's Mockingbird Lane? Which I don't understand what the Mockingbird's for. Like, that's not particularly spooky.
Mm-hmm.
But Grandpa's like, tell him where we live. And she's like, oh, yeah, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. And that would be like, where the credits for 1313 Mockingbird Lane would start, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I think they've ever mentioned it. Yeah. Yeah,
it is. And this would be like the end credits. This is be like the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, they finally said the line.
Yeah. And then right before she says it, it like cuts to the title 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Then there's a stylistic like Herman and all that stuff. And then they do the mid credits and it's like
Professor
Herman, you see him. Yeah, the mid credits scene. Herman.
There's a De La Soul song playing over it.
Yeah. It's all that good stuff, right? So then she says that. Cool. So they put out a 106, which I'm assuming is like missing persons, for a tall, heavy-set male with sallow complexion because they assumed that Lily was distraught because the description was out of control.
Now, I think another weird. I don't mean to keep talking about Herman's appearance. I mean he's obviously grotesque, but Lily really makes a point about like, oh, he's just your average guy. You wouldn't even notice him.
Yeah.
Does she really not realize that he is like some sort of like oddity? Like, sure, she can think he's attractive, whatever, that's fine. But does she not realize that every other human being besides his twin brother, like, it looks like a normal human? And
yes,
Herman?
Yeah, she has only met two people that look like Herman. One is Herman. One is Herman's twin brother, who was apparently also made by Grandpa.
Yes. Yet she says you would never even notice him on the street. He looks like your average guy. Yeah.
He's just an enormous monstrosity of a
Does she not remember when he went walking around the park and people freaked out about it?
No.
He's not an average guy. People
that was 8 episodes
him.
ago, Keith.
Didn't she see people at the drive-in, like, walking around and fleeing, like they didn't look like Herman?
Yeah. So,
I just thought that was weird.
Yeah, I agree. And the cop's like, look for this guy, tall, heavy set, and kind of punchy, or whatever they said, with amnesia. That's right. He's a tall, heavy set male with sallow complexion and amnesia. Okay.
And by the way, I know this is a thing that is probably wasn't like a thing back in, when this came out. But the first thing I was like is, why is she calling? You need to wait at least 72 hours before you can call.
Yeah. And they don't even say how long he's been missing for. They're just like, okay, we'll keep an eye out for your weird husband.
Yeah, because at this point he's been missing for like less than an hour or something like that.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's been 20 minutes. He could have gone to the store because the car's gone. He could have just gotten in the car, went to the store. It's like, oh, I can't sleep without cigarettes. So he goes and gets a pack of cigarettes and comes back, right? Whatever, right? Could have been anything. Well, he hasn't been gone that long. But she's very concerned because, the movie, the guy has stepped out on his wife. And Herman's very impressionable. So.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, should I call the morgue? It's been 20 minutes. He's probably dead. And Grandpa's like, nah. No. Grandpa's like, why would he go visit somebody right now? He's too tired. He's too tired to go visit somebody.
I thought like that's where he worked, but yeah, Grandpa makes it sound like he just goes and like chats with the
corpses. It up, with the dead folks. Then we see the gangsters. They're like, well, let's go to the farmhouse rendezvous. Go back to sleep, whatever. They get there, and they're like waiting for Marty. Now I'm thinking that this is a set of a bonanza. They're walking up to this farmhouse.
It's like a barn, yeah.
It is. They go in. And there's Marty. There's just one dude sitting in there. Like think of it waiting anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, why the farmhouse? Why not his house?
Yeah.
Why not the bar? Why not
anything traced back to it? Yeah. Come on.
Go to
why
this
not anywhere
farmhouse?
a little more visually interesting?
Yeah. So there's Marty. He's waiting for him. And then, so like, sorry, we're late. Blah, 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 blah. And Marty's like, it's okay. Waiting for Big Louie to drive the getaway car. Okay, Big Louie. Outside of Wolf House, Herman wakes up and he's like, where the hell am I?
He is horrified. He hears that wolf howling and he's like shaking in his boots.
Yeah.
Which is weird because his son howls a lot.
All the time. He wakes up, he's all nervous, whatever. So Herman, then we cut back inside, and Marty's never seen Big Louie before, but he's a great big goon, a regular monster. He's a fighter and a little punchy from 20 years in the ring.
20 years?
You've never seen him. He knows he's a big monster of a man, and he's weird. Right?
This is a good setup. I
yes.
think.
And then, so Herman's at the door, and then they're like, they open the door, and they're like, holy shit. Look at this. Big Louie is a monster.
Yeah, when you said he's a monster of a man, you meant he's just a monster
not lying.
of many men.
But then they get real bossy with Herman, don't they? They get like... And Marty gets out a gun, and he's like, puts it right in Herman's side, and Herman's laughing at him.
Yes, Herman laughed in his face.
Herman does not fear a gun. I'm surprised Herman didn't like get it and bend it in half or something.
Oh, right? I just kind of thought he didn't know what that was. I thought he might like not understand what the guns were.
Your tickle machine is very hilarious.
Yeah, so nonchalant. Maybe he doesn't fear death, I guess. He came from death, so I guess maybe he's just like...
he came,
Wow, that's very deep.
You are merely... I was born in death.
Yes.
He's Bane. That's my Bane. Sound like an old man impersonation. Oh, Mr. Wayne.
I was born.
Yeah, I was born in death.
Only when
you simply adopted it.
Yes.
That's what it is. But I started like this. Oh, you were born in death. I'm an old man.
Mr. Wayne. Wait, I'm coming to get you. Let me just get down these steps
get off
real
my
quick.
Porch.
Yes.
So Big Louie's got the gun. He's like, get out of here. Come on, do it, please. And Herman's like, okay, since he asked so nicely. And they get out there, and Herman's like fucking up shit. He's breaking up the door. He can't like figure out how the door works. It's all sorts of problems. And then the one dude says that I don't know which one it is, but he made me laugh. He goes, Big Louie is the toughest looking hatchet man I've ever seen. I don't know what a hatchet man is, but I love the term.
Yes, that's great.
I didn't look it up to see if it was a slur. It's too cool to be a slur, I think.
It's like
hatchet
a lumberjack, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
He's the toughest looking hatchet man I've ever seen. So Herman gets his way, and then they make Herman drive, and he's like, okay. Like,
he's just willing to go along with all of this, yeah.
A person employed to carry out controversial or disagreeable tasks, such as the dismissal of a number of people from employment. Person writes fierce attacks on others or their work.
He's the toughest looking one he's ever seen.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to tell you what. If you knew a hatchet man was coming and Herman showed up, I think you'd just be like, I'll take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just throw myself out the window on my own.
Where's my gun? Yeah. This is... Yep.
And Herman goes with him, and he drives. He's like, hey, yeah, it's cool. I'll drive. No biggie.
Yep.
So then we see the cops. They're patrolling. So whatever right here. Cops patrolling and find a goofy drunk motherfucker. Yes. So cops patrolling and find a goofy drunk guy. They assume he's Herman because he matches the 106, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Tall,
Big,
heavy set,
heavy,
has amnesia.
confused.
And he's like,
yeah.
The motherfucker's just drunk.
He forgot to put down the bottle. Yeah, this amnesia victim forgot to put down the bottle. They pick him up and they take him back to Lily. They're like, well, let's take him home. We know where we need to be. And he's out in the middle of nowhere. They're supposed to be at a farmhouse. This is Big Louie.
Yes.
He's supposed to be at the farmhouse. Yeah. He's just in a residential neighborhood. Do you know where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, he's like, is this the meetup spot for the whole bank heist? He's probably like stopping everywhere. Yeah.
He's a mess. He's an absolute mess. And the cops are like, well, we know where you're supposed to be. And so they decide they're going to take him back to Lily, take him back home. Cool. Then we see Grandpa, Lily, Marilyn, and Eddie. They are driving around in the coach looking for Herman.
Mm-hmm.
And even Marilyn says, Marilyn and Eddie are up top, and Marilyn's like, we should have left you at home in bed. That's what they say to Eddie. Why is Eddie there? And that was the big thing, right? In the first scene, right? You should be in bed. And now they take him out on the road to go look for Herman.
Well, because you can't leave a 10-year-old at home alone.
Leave
He's
Marilyn with
boy.
them, I guess.
He's fed for himself. He's fine.
Yeah, look, he's a wolf boy, and there's also a weird dragon type creature there to protect the place.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'd be perfectly fine, but you never know.
But it even says something like, "Oh, I can't sleep till the sun's up." You stupid shit! You gotta go to school. You go to school every day. I don't care. They drive me so crazy.
That joke is old, yeah, because we know for a fact that they don't do that. Yeah.
It only works if you forget everything else you've ever seen.
Yes.
You have to abandon anything about the Munsters.
Which back then, maybe, that maybe the people did forget.
People back then, they had shorter attention spans. Now we have Better Call Saul, and you got like 50 episodes where an arc happens. You got to pay attention. All right. Now, back then, it's like, it doesn't matter. Every episode is its own world. So Eddie's like, I can only sleep when the sun's up. So there's a payphone. Lily's going to call the police, see if there's an update. She comes back. They're like, they picked up Herman half an hour ago. Only half an hour, right? It's still nighttime. Only half an hour ago. And they said he'd been drinking. And then you know what else was weird? They said her house was gross. And they kept saying Herman wasn't his Louie. So all those things lead me to believe that, one, it is not Herman.
That would be my guess as well.
The whole Louie thing is...
I'd really throw I'd throw a little bit of something in my plans. Yeah, it's like, no, that can't be it. It's Louie.
I was just thrown off by the fact that Marilyn's like, hey, Lily, there's a phone over there. Why don't we call and check in with the cops?
Yep.
Like, what? Just go home and wait for them to call you.
Yes.
Why are you guys all driving around in your PJs?
But they got a cool ass car. So
yeah,
and that leads to all
that answers my question. That answers my question.
Well, it isn't. I thought it was kind of weird. So Lily tells everybody that they thought that Herman was drunk, and we cut to Marilyn, and she has this like big smile on her face, like she knows something. And it's like, is Herman good? She's like, oh yeah, that sounds right.
Her and Herman, they'll split a fifth of Jack.
I think there's something going on.
Bitching about everybody, Grandpa. That fucking vampire, man. Can you believe he tried to drug me to make me attractive? Me? Yeah. Every night.
Tried to murder the principal or whoever that guy was.
And he was a perfectly pleasant individual. He was all into me. So this was a half an hour ago, right? It's still nighttime. Half an hour ago, they picked up Herman. All right. Well, let's get home. So they at most, they got a half an hour away from their home. If they drove in a straight line directly away from their house.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to daytime.
Yes.
Herman.
Okay, but also, except for the times when you see somebody walking along in front of like the Munster house, where it actually looks dark and nighttime. Like when they're driving around looking for him, it looks like it's already the middle of the day when they're gonna make, they're like driving around, they're gonna make the call over to the police. It doesn't look like it's still the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's a whole black and white thing. And like back then, they used to do a thing called, like, I think it was called day to night or night, whatever. They would film during the day, and with the conceit that it was night, they would put like a film over the camera to make it look darker. And it kind of has that look to it when Lily goes to the phone. That was my first thought that I had.
Yeah, but it's like extremely dark every time that they're on, like in front of the Munster house. It's very it could be the middle of the day then too, because it's always rainy and nasty. But
But it's only been a half an hour. We cut to Herman still driving. It's daytime. And Herman is still driving. And they're like, pull over there. And Herman's like, oh, isn't that a bank? He says, just pull over. And there's guys there already. There's gangsters already having robbed the bank. Like, because the door's open. They just got to pull the money out of the building and throw it in this car. And the alarm doesn't sound until the money passes the threshold of the door. So it's got some sort of crazy marker in it or magic or whatever. That's fine. I just thought it was interesting that there are people there waiting. And they don't get in the car.
Yes.
The car is there for the sole purpose of collecting the money. Everyone else, you're shit out of luck. You better start running right now because the cops are on their way. Because the alarm is sounding.
It's a flawless plan, really.
It is a flawless plan. And then so they're driving away, and Herman's like, they're telling Herman to get out of there, but Herman is obeying the laws of the street, which I love, right? So he's like, well, it's only a 25-mile-an-hour zone. So he's driving nice and slow. And then we cut to Lily and Grandpa, and Lily's like, can't this thing go faster? And he's like, I'm doing 50, but I'm in low gear or whatever, which got a laugh for some reason. So then we see Herman and the gangsters almost crash in an intersection. So Herman and the gangsters almost crashed with Lily and Grandpa and the gang at an intersection. So it was night. They're on their way home. They were no more than half an hour away from their home. God. Yet now it's daytime, and it's not just like dawn. It's noon. And they're almost crashing. I don't know what's going on.
And Lily comments, she goes, I think that was Herman.
Yeah, she's like, that looked like Herman. But then she's like,
Herman doesn't go, oh shit, that's my family, because they're driving a very obviously
the Dracula
monster car.
There's my custom car.
It's my
that's
birthday
made
present.
out of a hearse and a drag racing hot rod.
And
there's my freaky blue grandfather-in-law. There's my freaky blue wife. There's my wolf boy child and that hideous niece of mine.
Yes.
He doesn't notice it. And he's driving. If he wasn't driving, I'd be like, okay, maybe he turned his head. But his eyes are on the road. And he swerved, so he saw the car. He doesn't notice them, but they notice him. But then Lily's like, well, how many tall and attractive guys like my husband can there be out there? There could be one.
Two.
Well, but the other one's in jail, dead.
Yeah, he's probably dead or in jail, or we probably will never see him again. No. So
I'm assuming he's dead. Well, no, because the car blew up and he didn't die in it.
I'm assuming we see him again because, well, that's TV back in those days.
It's also an opportunity for Fred Gwynn to flex his muscle.
His acting chops. And let's be real, he is dead because he's a Frankenstein's monster. So.
He's a Frankenstein's monster.
Oh yeah, he's already dead.
Yes,
you got him there.
Yep. So they almost crash. They swerve. Cops see that. They start chasing Herman and crew. Right?
Yep.
Then we get home and Lily checks. And they get home and Lily's like, I'm going to go check on Herman. She pokes in there. He's snoring. And it's just a lump on the bed. She's like, oh, he's so tired. My sweet, tired pussycat or something like that. She pats him on the head. Lots of dust because it's dirty as fuck in there, as it always is. And she's like, that's good enough for me. Not like I'm going to wake up and see what happened or, like you just
honey, where the hell were you?
Yeah. We were out worried sick hunting you down and the cops found you and you're drunk and you're calling yourself Louie. Don't even wake him up. Just like, we'll let him sleep.
He's
My
just
sweet
so
little
tired.
pussycat. I'm so glad you're home.
And the cops put that guy to sleep with, I assume, the covers over his head.
Yes. Yeah. The cops took him home and put him to bed. They knew which room to put him in, which blows my mind. Right? They walked through that house, filled with cobwebs and shit, a dragon dog, all these various things. Took him upstairs and put him into the correct bed. Very fortunate for Lily and the rest of the story.
Assuming, and they left. I assume they left with their minds intact, unlike most everybody else that's entered their home.
Well, they didn't really see the true Herman. They just saw Louie as
That's
Herman.
true. Yeah, that's true.
And we never see those cops again, right? So they could have lost their mind.
They did.
By then too.
Yes, the
Yeah.
sanitarium or wherever they said the guest workers were from.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be in the next episode. I'm sure they'll follow up on that.
Yep. So now it is time for a low-speed car chase, where Herman, it's very Mandalorian, where the Mandalorian's in Tatooine speeder thing, and there's the mayor's assistant's in Tatooine speeder thing, and then the most Vespa people are chasing him slowly. Very similar here. Herman with the gangsters going 25 miles an hour, obeying stop signs. So much so, he stops the stop sign, and the cop car blasts past them, right? Like they can't believe that they stopped at a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
So then the cops have to do like a 3-point turn to turn around. Then Herman goes, and he's like, "We can't stop here. It's no parking." Blah blah blah. I enjoyed this. I enjoy Herman, being the getaway driver, but obeying, it's a school zone or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually.
He didn't even want to stop at the bank because they're not open yet.
No. Yeah, like it's too early for the bank. He's very, very conscious of societal rules.
Mm-hmm. And he has no idea what's happening.
He's an upstanding citizen, and these gangsters are ruining it. So then Herman, quick thinking apparently, as is explained to us later, goes into a no entry, like a one-way alley. He drives in there and then crashes the car violently at about 2 miles an hour into a wall. And then the cops pull up. And then I'm actually going to play a clip because this is my favorite part in the entire episode.
You see that, Grady? That driver wrecked that car on purpose. All right, you guys, up against the wall.
Mobsters falling out of the car.
Check the driver of the car. I think he hit his head.
A lot of assumptions going on
All
here.
right, already. Hey, here's the loot from the bank guy.
Yay! They left the Herman.
What's the matter? It's horrible. But don't look like it. His face. He's figured for life. Poor devil. You ever see anything so bad? Not since the explosion in the morgue.
Not since the explosion in the morgue.
All right, easy now. Easy.
Oh.
Nice and easy there. Why don't you come over and lay down over here? We'll have an ambulance here for you in a minute.
Oh, thank you, but I don't need an ambulance. I just want to go home.
Herman just wants to go home. So this is the best part of the entire episode for me.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
The cops
That was
come
hilarious.
and they explain why Herman crashed the car. He must have done it on purpose. Obviously. So obvious, everyone but the viewer understood. So they had to explain it to you.
Yes. And okay, so he wants to go home, right? He doesn't want to. He's like, I don't want you to go anywhere. But when they pull him out of that car, he looks like he is dead or like severely got a concussion. His like mouth is agape. His like eyes are closed.
Scarred for life. I mean,
Yeah. He gets out of the car. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I love that they're like, let's check out the driver. He must have hit his head.
Yes.
And he lifts him up. And then he's like, oh, God. And he
He
and
drops
they're like,
it.
don't look at him. And it made me think of that scene in Tommy Boy where he's like, he wants the chicken wings. Or no, I'm sorry. Like he's doing the car crash scene in Tommy Boy. And it's like, and the new guy comes out. And he's puking out his guts. It's like, oh my God. There's like that whole thing. That's what made me think of. Like this cop protecting the other cop from seeing such a horrible, horrible car accident victim, which is just Herman, which is funny.
That was hilarious.
He's so grotesque that they think he was involved in a horrible 2-mile-an-hour car accident.
It reminds them of like a charred body at the morgue.
Yes. I haven't seen anything such. The morgue blew up. That means the morgue blew up and sent corpses across town. Right? So you could be in the backyard, like chilling with the fam, grilling, and a corpse could have landed in your backyard.
Already cooked. Yeah, I got the grill.
Yuck.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
I love that scene.
That's a
Those
great
two
scene.
cops made this episode.
Mm-hmm.
They help Herman out. And he's like, I just want to go home. I'm like, no, you need to go to the hospital because you're horribly disfigured from this car accident. And he's like, no, just call my wife. Call Lily. But they call Lily, and she's like, no, you're upstairs sleeping, Herman. So she can't be the. Now Herman, he doesn't display his normal moronicism. Is that a word? His normal stupidity.
Is now.
Everyone else does. So everyone else is as dumb as Herman in this episode. It's like, wait a minute. If you're up there, but you're here on the phone, that's like, what? Like she can't process it. I don't get it.
Yes, it's ridiculous. Yep. It's like, and she's still like unsure. It's like, well, maybe it isn't. She's like, well, I don't know what to believe. I better go check. Like,
yeah.
You can tell Herman, right? That's
there's
his
no
voice.
way. I went up there and poked him, and he was snoring just as Herman is known to do. So Grandpa comes out of the stairs, which I still think is a cool bit. I don't know where those stairs lead, but Grandpa comes out of it. And Herman and Lily's like, well, maybe that isn't Herman up there. So they go to check on Herman. Still snoring. Check. They poke it. Herman, is that you? Louie, Big Louie. Is it Big Louie? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
He pokes his head up out from underneath the sheet. And they have like a Drew Barrymore meets E.T. moment where they stare, Lily and Louie stare each other in the eyes, and they both scream. And that was good. They scream. And Louie assumes he's dead. I must have died. They sent me to the bad place.
He thought he went to hell. Yeah.
Yep. I love that. They sent me to the bad place. And Lily can't figure out who it is. Who is this? And Grandpa, she's like, Grandpa, who is this? Find out. Like Grandpa's going to know.
Mm-hmm.
Louie calls Grandpa the devil.
Yes.
It's like,
I was like, this is awesome. Grandpa would be a devil, honestly.
Yes. This is the place of fire and brimstone, and you're the devil. So Louie tries to flee, but Grandpa freezes him with this most common of incantations. Rippity dippity, rinkety dink. Make like a statue and freeze, you think.
Oh, God. It's so bad.
And Louie freezes in mid-leap, in air.
Motion blurred.
He's horizontal-ish, parallel to the ground, sort of.
Yep.
And just floating there, frozen. And the thing is, he's not frozen cleanly. He's frozen with motion blur, right? Yeah. So it's clearly the film has just stopped on a frame. Yes. They're like, well, this is the cleanest frame we have with the motion blur.
I like to believe Big Louie's like reliving that second over and over and over again. And over.
But we find out in a few minutes he can still talk, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So he freezes in midair. Lily's like, I'm going to call the police. And Louie screams for help. Help me.
Poor Louie.
So Lily's worried that Herman was could he have really been in a car accident? And Grandpa's like, well, the police have made mistakes about Herman before. Remember, he fell asleep in the park and they had to pick him up at the mortuary, which I think was a joke before, right?
They have used that before.
Yeah. And now what's funny is Louie is locked in that room. Or no, he's not locked in the room. He's frozen. He's locked in space-time. He's frozen.
But Grandpa still locks the door. Yeah.
He's like, just in case he unfreezes.
Yeah, well, the ultimate prison of space-time isn't enough, and at least you've got that wooden door to hold him as well.
Louie's in the damn Phantom Zone.
Yeah. Let's lock that behind a wooden door, just in case.
We'll lock the door.
We'll keep Zod back in.
We don't need a Zod situation here.
Exactly.
So now we come back from what I assume was a commercial break. Herman is back at home, and everyone's very happy. But Herman is yawning like a madman again. He's very tired. It's been an exhausting day lately. You wouldn't understand. So Louie explains that Big Louie is frozen in the bedroom. And Herman's like, Big Louie? They thought I was Big Louie. Like, he puts two and two together faster than anybody else in this series has ever put two and two together.
Yes.
Right? Did this happen in the first 10 minutes of this episode, we would have spent the next 10 minutes of Herman trying to piece together why they thought he was Big Louie.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're at the end, he's like, wait a minute.
Let's just wrap
They
it
were
all
looking
up.
for a Big Louie, and they thought I was Big Louie. Very coincidental that the two happened to cross paths like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Grandpa's like, well, I'm going to go get Louie. And he tries to unfreeze Louie with all sorts of incantations, right? He's like, abracadabra, alakazam. He tells him to unfreeze, tells him to thaw. Nothing happens. And then Grandpa's like, fiddlesticks. And that works for whatever reasons.
Yep.
So Louie unfreezes, hits the floor, and then he asks what round it is. So apparently, between being frozen, asking for help, and then the time lapse between that and Herman coming home, Louie lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he's a boxer of 20 years. I mean, it's not all there for him anyway.
I'm going to say being suspended in midair, it's got to be maddening in some sense.
Yeah.
That didn't help. But like,
No.
he's obviously got some mental problems in the first place from all his years and years of boxing.
Yeah.
So now
He's a bit punchy.
And he
20
believes
years.
he's in hell, and he believes
Yes.
the devil just froze him.
That hell part was awesome. And you're the devil.
Yes.
So Grandpa's like, come on, Louie, let's go. And then my second favorite part of the episode happens. And this is such a small thing. But Grandpa's bringing Louie out of the room. And Herman is explaining to Lily what was going on. Right? He's like, and then I had to drive a car. And then Grandpa comes out. He's like, oh, I'll finish the rest later. I don't know what it is about that specifically, but it felt one of the most genuine things this series has ever done. Like, oh, I was just telling you about my crazy fucking night, but here's Grandpa with Big Louie, so I'll finish it later. I just really enjoyed that. I don't know.
Is he actually describing like the stuff like that was going on, or or is like because part of I was also like, oh, maybe like Fred Gwynn and Yvonne, they were having like a separate conversation.
Maybe
like,
either way, it doesn't matter. It was so it felt genuine, right? Like they were having this, like Herman's recapping this crazy night, and then Grandpa comes out with Big Louie. It's like, well,
yes, I'd love to hear Herman's point of view from like what he thought happened, because he was really going along with most of it. So
yeah, he was very accommodating to a bunch of gangsters.
I'd almost call him an accomplice. Yeah, like
until he
most people probably would. Yeah,
but he crashed that car on purpose, very obviously too.
Obviously, yeah. The police seem to know that for sure. So.
Yeah. So then Grandpa's like, people get a reward. Grandpa's very excited. Another chance to make $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Herman and Louie stare at each other, face to face, in the eyes, and they scream. Another E.T. meets Drew Barrymore moment.
Mm-hmm.
And Herman has to squat down some too. I mean, Louie's not a small guy, but he squats down like a very awkward way when he looks at him too. It threw me off a little bit.
Screams, and then Herman is shook to his core.
Yes.
Herman calls him a frightening fellow. It's like, oh my God. He was in my bed. If I were Herman, destroy the bed, get a new one. Right? I couldn't sleep in that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is shook, literally.
And then even Lily's like, I can't believe someone mistook that horrible person for my big, strong, handsome husband.
Yeah, once again, yeah. But literally, she's like, he's just an average guy. You never know. Yeah, we get it. Lily loves him for some reason.
Yeah, Lily loves that big lunk. And she's sitting on his lap, and Herman's all squirmy. He's like, ooh. And he's like, yeah, that's right. I was yawning, but I'm awake now. I'm I went from 6 to 12 in a hurry. Here, Lily. And Lily goes, "Oh, Herman, you're blushing." And is that your one of your 3 hearts in your pocket? Or are you happy to see me? Because didn't they mention earlier that he's got 3 hearts or something socially like that?
Yeah. One.
Because he's a Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Lily's like, "Oh, Herman, you're blushing. You're turning the most adorable shade of green." Credits. Oh, once again, the Munsters end on the highest of notes. What a joke.
What a zinger.
What a joke. I mean, it was amazing.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Well, what'd y'all think? What did y'all... That was season 1, episode 11, The Midnight Ride of Herman Munster.
Yeah. One, I think they missed a huge opportunity. Like when it said that he was like going to be the driver and stuff, and then the car, he had to go out and get the thing out of the car. I was like, oh, somebody's stealing the Munster coach for this. And no, it's just a normal car. Like there's a missed opportunity going on there with that.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. It is weird though. I mean, he just kind of goes right along. He is very much an accomplice all the way up to the end.
Yes, he is. I mean, he could have easily clunked all of their heads together. It could have smashed them like villains.
He could have picked up the car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Masked Marvel could have saved the day. Like, he could have swooped in and just taken them all out.
Yeah.
Could have snatched that gun out of his hand and just crushed it to dust.
Ripped them limb from limb.
Yeah. He could have done anything. But did nothing other than drive them to a bank robbery.
And then obviously, of course, crash it on purpose, which is clear that he did that.
And then he even said, it's like, I figured it's the only thing I could do was crash on purpose.
Yes. They really wanted to emphasize that Herman wanted to stop this on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was not obvious. Yeah. Missed opportunity to use the coach as the getaway car for sure.
Yes. Agreed.
What do you think, Terry? Well, how did this episode sit with you?
It's not that it was okay. I liked it kind of. I mean, it's kind of at this point. I don't know if it's Stockholm syndrome, but it's not like I have like a horrible time watching these. You know, it's like they're like I don't know. It's like non-nutritious like food. You know, I'm like okay, I'll watch this. It's very digestible. Well, sometimes it does get annoying, but for the most part, it's fine. And this kind of fits in that. Even has some highlights, like you said, that whole joke with the police thinking he's some horribly disfigured man.
That was the highlight of the episode.
That's probably like my second favorite joke in the whole series. Right after, of course, Baby Frankenstein. But yeah, it was.
I still like this though. 11 episodes in, and he's already like, "Yeah, I got Stockholm syndrome. I'm hooked on this now."
It is a bit like I watched it. And not a moment, except for that whole cop interaction with the like, oh, he's so disfigured. Where I was like, I'm enjoying myself. I didn't think that once. But afterwards, I was like, yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. It was not good. It's a 5-star episode. Easy, right?
Could have been
Middle
worse.
of the road. Yeah. Very 2.5 out of 5, 5 out of 10. Whatever. Nothing special. A few jokes that landed. Lily with the kick-ass bat pendant.
Yes.
Looking good and all that kind of stuff, right? But beyond that,
like, it's just once again, it's like I wish that the main premise is super awesome. I think that's a great idea. Herman gets involved with these bank robbers. That should have been the whole episode. Didn't really need to see Lily and them get the mix up with Louie and get confused searching for him. Yeah, because that was just felt like filler. Because I was like, I just want to see how Herman reacts with all these hardened criminals. Like that's where the gold is.
Yeah. Like they spend so much time on them looking for Herman, being concerned for Herman, which I get it, right? The whole Louie mix up, like the cops pick up this guy and they're just like, we'll just take you home into the spooky house. Oh, open the door. Oh, into the spooky, dirty as hell house. We'll figure out which room is the master bedroom. Because that house clearly has lots of bedrooms in it. And they find the one. They don't encounter Spot. They don't encounter anything else. And then they put him to bed and then cover him up in a way in which they'll never know that it's not Herman. That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
You know, it's like the whole conspiracy theory thing, right? Like, if you're a conspiracy theory that requires like 800 steps and 1 million people to be involved for it to work, it's not true, right? It's the same thing here. Too many things needed to happen to make it mildly plausible.
And so here's something I forgot to bring up earlier. So when they're doing the car chase, there's a line, and it's so random and out of left field, where it's like the robbers are like, "Oh, just our luck, it's raining," and what? Like, why did they say that? And then like, it never comes into play. Like Herman can't see the road anymore. All that I noticed was that the top of the car looked like it was starting to get rained on. So I was wondering if like maybe it started raining on set, and they're like, "We got to address this."
Roll with it, because they can only do one.
Did they? I mean, they weren't very far from home. Did they turn down their street and also start raining?
Yeah, that could be.
What if rain follows the Munsters wherever they go? Where there's multiple Munsters, there will be rain.
I think Herman at least has some sort of like reality warping powers, whether he knows
I think
it or
you're
not.
right.
So
you mentioned that before, like the desk turned into cardboard, time ceases to exist properly.
People's glasses melt on their eyes.
His gravitational field, it's like it's like an interstellar. Like, if you get too close to Herman, like 100 years pass. But once you get far enough away from Herman, it's like only 20 minutes. That's where
it's like a great cosmic madness that floats around him and causes people to literally lose their minds.
Cosmic madness. I love that.
Some sort of like Lovecraftian, unbeing that's
like cosmic gumbo. I was just saying that, Santa Claus.
It's like a cosmic gumbo. Yes. But I don't know. It was an okay episode, but it wasn't amazing. So
this one gets a 7.5 in IMDb. 5, 6 maybe tops for me, only because of that joke and the whole. I still think that him crashing on purpose and then them having to exposition it into reality is funny when it's in its own right, because it's so bad, right? The fact that they have to say it like, "Oh, that's what happened," and he has to come up and be like, "Well, I crashed on purpose." Oh, confirmed, right? Those things make me laugh because it's so bad.
This episode should have ended with Herman in jail.
Banger! It's like, you mean I have to pee in front of everybody? Yes. Credits.
That's just unpolite. Yeah.
All right, so what's the moment that breaks the babysitter here?
I think it's one of two things. For me, at least, it is either the fact that the crow has a thing for Tuesday Weld also. That would throw her off. Yeah. Or, actually, I'm tied into that. The fact that I think what would break her is the fact that Lily suddenly is like worried that Herman would be running around on her. She's such a catch for him.
Yes.
Why is she worried at all? And I think the babysitter would break and like be like, what the what? Why are you worried about this man at all? She was worried about him going to the army thing, the army reception thing. She goes, I know what those things are like. What do you think's going to happen? Most people run away, things wilt, mirrors break around here, and Herman is he's so giddy when he just kisses you on the cheek to walk out the house. I mean, it's insane that you would think that something like that, and that would make her break. And then the crow would chime in with the Tuesday Weld, and she would throw something at it.
Yeah. Yep. I think Lily wanted to throw something at the crow or the raven at that moment too. But the babysitter hears it and it's like, Tuesday Weld, you think that this big giant idiot watched a drive-in movie and it's going to inspire him to leave you?
Yes.
You're smoking hot. And and he's a Frankenstein's monster. God damn it. That's it. I'm out.
I think she might have broke when Lily is describing Herman to the police and is describing him, in some familiar ways, and then in some ways where it's like his eye color is different now all of a sudden, and she's talking how he's just an average guy that nobody would even bat an eye at. I think the babysitter, she's not grotesque, but she's not grossed out by Herman. She's been around him, but the fact that she realizes that Lily truly just does not see Herman for what he really is.
Yes.
I think that would have kind of something snapped in her brain.
Yeah,
I
finally,
think that might have
this is
broken.
the moment. Like, don't you realize the rest of the world looks nothing like Herman?
Yes.
You go out in the world, you know what it's like.
I don't think, the babysitter wouldn't be, judging Herman by his appearance, but not judging Lily for loving Herman, but she's got to accept that Herman is not like other men, He
has to realize.
He's a multitude of men, if anything.
Or she just breaks down a bit and is like, the guy that was described running around the park, the 7-foot green guy with red eyes. That's who he is. You know who he is already.
Yes.
We've gone through this. Your police commissioner got sent to the desert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember this guy? Remember him? Well, I think the babysitter would have broke when Herman crashed the car, obviously. And the cops got out and like, did you see that? He crashed on purpose. She would have been like, what? How do you know that? You were just chasing this car. And it crashed into a wall after going into the wrong way. It's like a one-way street and it crashed into a wall. That might happen no matter what. Particularly they're on a bank heist. Yes. And it all happened within minutes of the money getting stolen. They're like, here's the money from that heist. She's like, how do you know? How do you even know about the heist? Yeah. The alarm was just sounded. There's no way. This is not 2022. It's not like an instant, like, OnStar, like nobody knows. Like they have to go through so many channels to report a bank robbery. Like I'm sure somebody has to call the operator, like, Lori, can you hook me up with the police department? It's like, oh, patch in the police department. And it's like, oh, Police Chief Williams, here's a guy that says there's a bank robbery. We'll patch him through. And they patch him through. And it's like, well, explain yourself. And it's like, he's cranking the phone to keep it going and stuff. Like, this is the 60s. It takes forever for anything to happen.
Yeah.
Yet they knew instantaneously everything that had happened. And then she's just like, you're going to explain it all to me? And she pulls her hair out and she hails a taxi and goes home bald. That's it. That's the moment that breaks the babysitter for me.
I'd buy that, yeah.
All right. So that was, that was season 1, episode 11, The Midnight Ride of Herman Munster. Keith, what you got?
All right. Well, as of this time, we are wrapping up season 1 of That Was Great, Wasn't It? I think maybe like 1 or 2 episodes left of that going on. And we are prepping for the summer return of everyone's soon to be, if not already, favorite cinema podcast, Pop-Up Filmcast.
First time.
Where if you go listen to some back catalog, you'll catch more of the inside jokes that I like to make that only myself and Derek and Terry, who's probably listening to every episode, actually understand.
Yep, what inside joke is that?
I made a comment earlier in the show, and I don't think
Does it involve me, our high school years, Keith? That's usually
no. It was a Pop-Up Filmcast reference about something, but only people who listen to Pop-Up Filmcast would actually know what I was talking about at that point.
Man, I'm involved with the Pop-Up Filmcast. I don't remember what it was. Terry, what you got going on?
I got Run the Reel going still.
Run the Reels.
Oh yeah, we're
reel. Only one reel.
I know. I said S on purpose.
Another Pop-Up Filmcast reference. If you've listened. But we've been recording some episodes for a new series. They'll probably be out pretty soon, if not by the time this comes out. The Paul Thomas Anderson. We're covering a lot of his movies.
I thought you meant like a new show.
Like, no, yeah, we're still doing the same thing. New format. So
you're being all British about it. Series 6,
the
Paul Thomas Anderson episodes.
After a few 100 episodes, we're finally on season 2. Yeah, nice. But yeah, we're gonna be doing that, so that'll be exciting. It's been a lot of fun talking about his movies. So yeah, check it out if you're curious.
Outstanding. Do that. And as for me, I got nothing. Now, as we come up to the end here.
Oh yes.
I have no idea how we do this. There's a sequence of events that happen that end the episode. So somebody just started.
Ingenuity.
Imagination.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
Have nothing. Do not work here.
have nothing.
They have no dominion here.
That may be true, honestly. Yeah.
Because it is
It's hunting season.
always hunting season.
Oh, he nailed it. The Munster Hunters are Derek Glascock, Keith Gawla, and Terry Vickroy. Keith is the host of the Pop-Up Filmcast, and that was great, wasn't it? Both shows can be found wherever you subscribe to podcasts. For more about Keith's shows, you can follow Pop-Up Filmcast on Twitter at Pop-Up Filmcast. And that was great, wasn't it? At How Great Was That? You can also follow Keith on Twitter at KG3030. Terry is one of the hosts of Run the Reel. It's a movie podcast that does deep dives on films with a theme. You can follow Run the Reel on Twitter at Run the Reel. You can also follow Terry on Twitter at Terry_Vickroy. If you would like more musings from me, you can follow on Twitter at Derek9 and the word 9. Follow Munster Hunters on Twitter at Munster Hunters and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice for more Munster Hunter fun. Munster Hunters is mixed and edited by me, Derek. All original music is composed and mixed by Terry Vickroy, and executive producers are me and Keith Gawla. The Munster Hunters is a Krispy Dodo production.